Well, welcome to the Cinnabar. Now we're back to the ranch for a short stay, and I just couldn't help myself. Such a beautiful day. Had to dig back in the safe and find a couple of firearms that we haven't showed you before. And today we're going to talk about Winchester's very first shotgun. And it's probably not what you think. Most of us kind of think of the 1887 designed by John Browning as the first Winchester shotgun. But there was almost a decade before a run of 10,000 double-barreled, double-hammer shotguns from Winchester. And they weren't produced by Winchester, they were actually imported from England, and near as I can tell, 2 or 3 different manufacturers took part in manufacturing these shotguns. They're very typical of the double-barrel, double-hammer shotguns of the era. And they were produced in 5 grades. The highest grade being called a match grade, and then they were a grade, a B grade, a C grade, and a D grade. This particular one that we have here in the Cinnabar collection is a B grade, so kind of middle of the road of the 5. It's number 3. It actually has some really beautiful engraving, but the twist steel rather than the fine Damascus barrels, pretty straight grain walnut, and you know, just a kind of middle of the road shotgun for the time. Now they imported these starting in 1878, and ironically that was the same year that Colt started producing a very similar shotgun. This a double hammer. Both of these are 12 gauge shotguns. This is a Colt 1878. Both of them were moderately successful. The Colts, if I'm going by memory here, I think they produced somewhere in the neighborhood of 20,000 of these, maybe a little less. Winchester imported about 10,000 of these in both 10 gauge and 12 gauge. So there was just a lot of competition at that time. There were a lot of manufacturers making these double hammer, double barrel shotguns. So they really didn't take off. The Colts, they actually came out with a hammerless shotgun in 1883 that was somewhat more successful than these double hammer guns. But really, it was a fairly short-lived production for both Winchester and Colt. Let's take a little closer look at these, and then of course, you know we're going to have to shoot them. Okay, so this Winchester Class B up front, you can see it has some really nice scroll engraving here. I suspect if we had a Class A or a match grade, we'd have some kind of a panel game scene engraving on it. A lot of times they used hunting dogs on them. The wood on this Class B is pretty straight grain, pretty plain. Actually the Colt has a little better grain, doesn't have any of the engraving except just for a border. They both, of course, have checkered stocks. Both have cracks in the stock. In fact, I just had this Class B apart yesterday and glued up some of these cracks here in the wrist. It's very, very common with these old shotguns to have cracks in the wrist, and sometimes broken completely across and repaired. The barrels on the Class B, as I mentioned, is a twist pattern, so you might be able to make some of it out. It's kind of a diagonal twist pattern in this Winchester. The Colt, actually, it's hard to see because it's really been cleaned up, but it has a very nice Damascus pattern. Maybe I can get a little close-up of that. Again, very difficult to see just because it's been cleaned. If we were to brown this barrel, it'd bring that Damascus twist pattern out really, really well. And of course, these early shotguns used a brass shotgun shell, just like these. These are actually old Remington UMC shells, again 12 gauge. We're not going to be using brass shells today. We've got some real light black powder loads made by Reed's Ammunition back in Missouri. I bought it to do an episode that I did recently with 1887s, but they'll work just fine in these old girls as well. Okay, so it's time to shoot these old girls. We've got some, as I mentioned, some Reed's Ammunition, real light black powder cartridges. These are 2.5 inch. They number 9 shot and 3/4 ounce of black powder. We're just killing milk jugs, for crying out loud. We don't need to tax these old girls. Now we'll do this Winchester first. This one's got a 30-inch barrel. It came in 30 and 32. We'll go ahead and load her up. And let's try the right barrel first. Oh, so it shoots a little bit low. I hit the bottom of that target. Okay, let's try the left hand. You'll shoot up at the top of it. Well, it bounced it around, but I don't see a lot of water. Oh, it shot low too. It's leaking out the bottom. Okay, so pretty amazing. It shoots that low, this close up. All right, now this Colt. Now this Colt, the barrel's been cut down to 26 inches, and a lot of these old double barrels have been cut down like that. Would have been originally either 30 or 32 inch. All right, so whatever choke was in this barrel is gone when it got cut off. So this one should have a really wide open group. All right, so let's try the next one. Well, they're leaking out of them, but I really was hoping for something much more dramatic than just putting a few holes and leaking out of them. But what a kick in the pants to shoot these old girls. I mean, both of them come out in 1878. They're still fully functional, even though maybe not the most accurate, or maybe it's just the shooter. But anyway, a great deal of fun to shoot. And I may have to go get a couple more cartridges and just see exactly where those are hitting and come back and try her again. So in reality, those old guns are shooting really well. You can see the wad actually came out and hit it low, where I thought the pellets were low. You can see that pellets were spread all over the doggone thing. Just those light number 9 pellets just don't do anything really dramatic, especially from a little distance. You can see there, I decided I'd shoot a little higher, and that's where they hit. And here we got a great spread all over it, and the same here, where I actually tried shooting a little bit lower here, and that's where most of the pellets are. So those old girls shoot pretty good for the kind of condition they're in and how old they are. Okay, now that we know these things are shooting right on, we've moved up, getting a little more up close and personal here. See if we can't have a little more dramatic effect on these jugs. We replaced the first jug that was pretty well empty with a lighter weight milk jug, and see if maybe that might make a difference. We'll start off again with this Winchester Class B. Oh, that's at least knocked it over. All right, we'll hit that one up top there. Oh, there we go. We're making an effect now. Now let's try this old Colt. I'm not a cowboy action shooter, so I'm a little slow on the reload. Would be kind of fun to use these in cowboy action though. Okay, let's try that one. It's about 2/3 empty now. It might be a little lighter. Oh yeah, we made an impact on it, but didn't knock it over. Okay, now that one on the right. Oh, yeah, the wad went right through it. Almost tipped it over, but not quite. Again, these are awful light loads and awful light pellets. But what a kick to shoot these old girls. Okay, so we got to clean the black powder residue out of these barrels anyway, so might as well get a little more shooting in while we're up here. We've backed up here. We're at about 35 yards. We put a couple of jugs up on an old stump out there, and let's just see if this Winchester with a little longer barrels can reach out there and touch them. Of course, we may not be able to tell till we get up there, but let's see just in case. I see water coming out of it, so we hit it, but it just didn't knock it over. Let's try again. Left barrel this time. Blew the cap off of it anyway. Well, we're going to have to get something with a little heavier charge if we're going to do anything dramatic, it looks like. Gotta love the smell of the Holy Black, even though the wife hates it when I'm cleaning them up afterwards. Let's go see what kind of pattern we got. Okay, of course our pattern spread out quite a little bit, but we got pretty good coverage on both of those old girls. Well, there you have it, this old Class B shotgun getting it done after nearly 150 years. It's pretty amazing how well built these old firearms were and that they're still operating and doing well today. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I know I sure as heck did. Until next time, happy trails from the Cinnabar.